I've given myself a bit of a dilemma recently. I have owned this lens now for probably a few months, which is the Sigma Art 30mm 1.4. It's a great lens, don't get me wrong, but I found this lens used and realised that if I sold the Art version, I could probably have two of those lenses. And so by the end of this video, I'm going to find out which one I'm keeping and which one I'm sending back. I'm going to start off with the EX purely because I've already done a review video on the Art version, and basically I just want to find out what's different about the new version. I got them both used, and the Art version is pretty much twice the price of the EX version. So what I really need to know is it twice as good?
The EX performs well from about f2 onwards, but just like the Art, it still suffers from fairly early diffraction, although it's not as bad.
One thing I do notice is actually a point about build quality, not image quality. This obviously has a very kind of smooth, almost glossy metal finish. Not that it really matters, but it just feels kind of nicer than that almost velvety finish on the old Sigma. The EX is still made of metal, it just has a kind of, it feels like velvet, like a furry finish almost. It's weird, but it is still made of metal and it is still a fantastic build quality. But the focus ring on the Art is really nice and smooth. The focus ring on the EX feels lumpy when you're turning it. It's nasty, it's like trying to mix curdled custard. I'm just going to do a little focus speed test. So I've got the subject here at the shortest focusing distance, and then I'm going to set the focus to infinity and then autofocus back to the subject, which is my very scientific test of finding out the focus speed. There's probably not going to be a lot in it, to be honest. Yeah, there's not a lot in it. Neither of them are blisteringly quick, and also the Art has a closer focusing distance, so that kind of puts it at an advantage because it's got further to go. And both were pretty much silent. Now my on-camera external mic does pick up the focus from both these lenses just slightly, but not over the sound of my own voice or anything, only if you've got no other sound.
Both lenses have vignetting wide open, but it's not a look that I dislike, and to be honest, neither lens suffers terribly from any chromatic aberrations or anything like that, even at f1.4. The EX produces quite flat images, whereas the Art produces noticeably more contrasty and punchier images. The quality from both these lenses is great, and I wouldn't have a problem with the EX if I didn't put them side by side. The Art rewards you with incredible detail.
So the Art certainly performs better at the wider apertures, and it has noticeably punchier images kind of all round, but lenses are like race cars. Now, hear me out, I know that sounds stupid. God, I don't know where I'm going. When you're modifying a car to do mad lap times or quarter mile times, you're spending like £1,000 at a time to make a tiny half a second gain on your lap times, let's say. Just for argument's sake, that's not an actual fact. Okay, the other guy's car could be half a second faster than your car, but your car you spent £1,000 less on, and you spent that £1,000 on petrol. So you can do a mad road trip and have more fun with your car. And with lenses, it's like each time you add £100 to the value of a lens, you're gaining a tiny bit better sharpness, maybe a little bit better contrast, but that £100 you could spend on another used lens and have more lenses for different occasions. And that's kind of the dilemma I have to face now. Both these lenses are great. I like using them both. They're both pretty much exactly the same size. I don't notice a difference in the weight. The manual focus, the feel of the actual manual focus ring on the EX is slightly worrying, but I don't really use manual focus that often. And the autofocus I find is actually better on the EX than the Art, because the Art often misses focus somehow. I don't know why it does that, but the autofocus on the EX is always on point. So I guess I have to give my final conclusion. Which lens am I sending away today? And which one is staying in my camera bag? I would prefer to keep the Art. It is undeniably, although slightly better, it doesn't perform too well at the smaller range of apertures, which is kind of more what I use it for, being a landscape photographer. But the main reason is that if I sell the art version and keep the EX version, I would have enough money from that to keep the EX version and also buy a 50mm lens used, and that is really appealing.
These two lenses are like twins. At first, you don't really know who's who, but when you get to know them, you find that they're incredibly different from each other. The EX renders the images quite flat, but really it's a very good lens. The art, however, is better, and I can't bring myself to downgrade. It's got better contrast, better colours, and the level of detail is just completely out of reach from the EX. If you switch to live view and use manual focus, the art will reward you with fantastic quality, sharpness and detail. The Sigma art range truly is great, and that's the one I'll be keeping. If you'd like to follow what I do, follow my Instagram at jbflandscape or visit my website joefrancisphotography.co.uk. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in another video.